Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam and joining me today is a duo. There's three of us on the show. I'm delighted to say Stephan's here as always. Hello Stephan.
Oh, good afternoon.
You well?
I am very well, sir. How are you?
That's what I like to hear. And also joining us, the lady who was going to be on Moon Knight episode 6 was on episode 1 with us. It's Kayleigh. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Well, of course we'd have you back. We had some lovely messages about you after episode 1. It was, I don't know, I was kind of hurt, to be honest with you. I was like, whoa, I'm here every week. I get nothing. She's here one show. Like, show the love, people. But yeah.
Oh, I'm honoured.
Well, when it comes to all things Marvel, I think you're now going to become our go-to person to join us, I think. Today...
It depends how much you agree with us on the podcast.
Yeah,
if you disagree with a lot of things, then it's one and done.
Well, I will keep my opinions in check as much as I possibly can, but I can't guarantee anything.
No. And that would be kind of dull, wouldn't it? It's like, what do you think? Saying nothing. Yeah, okay, all right.
I think the exact same as you.
Yes. Well done. I'm glad I'm here. So we now it is Marvel Monday. We are back. We did 6 weeks of Moon Knight, which we all enjoyed. We now are talking about the current blockbuster from Marvel Studios, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2 for the uninitiated. And obviously, I have to say this, but obviously there are going to be spoilers for this film in this podcast. So if you've not
Shut
seen...
the front door, really?
Yes, I know, right? So if you have not seen it yet, this is one for you to exit here, save it, download it to your phone or whatever device you're listening, and come back to it after you've seen the movie. Or, if you're not seen it, don't care, but just want to stay up to date with everything going on, then yeah, keep listening. That's fine. Because apparently some people do that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't get it personally, but yeah. Each
their own.
Yeah, more power to
That's
you.
an opinion I'll keep to myself.
Nicely done. So yeah, the three of us have all seen the movie. I think Stephan got there first. I got there just ahead of Kayleigh second, Kayleigh then third. Kayleigh, you had a very good excuse because you were unwell. But let's just go through the three of us then, and let's get our overall opinion first of all. Kayleigh, I'm going to start with you because it's ladies first, and you are a lady, well established.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What is your overall opinion? Without going into any detail at this stage, what was your overall opinion of the film?
I really enjoyed it. I didn't take my eyes off the screen for the whole 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's definitely a die-hard fan film.
Yeah,
I don't think it's for newbies. It's not a gateway movie into Marvel. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I liked the new elements that Sam brought to the film.
You're welcome. Stephan. She said gateway. And
yes,
she's using good terms. She's going to show us up, dude.
Oh, already? Yeah.
Showing us up, man. So, yeah, well, I'll edit this bit out. No one will know. So, yeah, Stephan, what's your opinion, mate? What was your overall thoughts?
Can't turn around and go, yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? I don't sound professional after that explanation. No, I really enjoyed the film. It wasn't what I thought I was going in to see.
Okay, well that's an interesting point to jump from, because I've seen a lot of criticism online, and I swear the whole criticism stems from people having an idea in their head, and it wasn't that, so they didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I liked it. It was kind of like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's the darkest movie in the MCU. It's like a proper horror movie, and personally, I came out. I think I messaged you straight away, and I was like, "Look, no spoilers."
Yeah.
But don't worry, it is not a horror film.
Oh, you had to put that on the podcast. You had to put that on. Okay, so yeah, I don't do horror. I'm gonna put that out there. I have bad dreams if I watch horror movies. So Stephan was a wonderful friend, and he went to watch it first and told me not to worry. I'm just.
You don't need to take a pillow. You're fine.
Yeah. I'm 39. I'm 40 soon, just so everyone can laugh at that. But yeah, so thanks.
But no, I was expecting. You're welcome, buddy. Like, there was a couple of little jump scare moments, which was cool. I always enjoy a good jump scare moment.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual horror, I kind of left, and I was like, I wouldn't have said it was a horror. There was a lot of gore. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual horror, I was like, no, not really. Like, it was a good movie. It had jump scares. It had a bit of a dark element to it, but I wouldn't have said a horror movie.
I guess...
And I think that is what I went into the cinema, like, expecting. Sat there going, oh my God, oh no, oh, it's scary, oh. Yeah. Because I'm the same as you, I don't do horror films.
Yeah. Not quite as bad as me, but I guess, yeah. There were some elements in it, though. I mean, what do you think, Kayleigh? Did you think there were sort of horror elements in the film, or did you just did that not hit at all?
No, there were, and it was something that I was a bit worried about. I, like you guys, don't do horror films at all, and I took the boys with me.
I feel a lot better, thank you.
that was in the back of my mind, and there were two instances where I grabbed hold of Logan, and he looked at me and went, "What is the matter with you?" You know, and he's 11, and it didn't him at all. It was the one particular scene, which I'm sure we'll get to, that actually made my stomach turn, because I've got a real thing about eyeballs, which, if you've seen the movie, it's quite prevalent. But yeah, it was, you expect it because it's, a Sam Raimi film, and I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen more his movies because I can't do it. So I was apprehensive, but it was fine. It was fine. Not for 5-year-olds potentially.
No. Yeah, whoops.
I think this is where I had a bit of an advantage with this.
Yeah.
Because for me, the name Sam Raimi is just the Spider-Man movies.
See, I've come across her on like Evil Dead. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that was what I'm doing.
The Evil Dead films were hilarious. I mean, terrifying when you're younger, but now they're hilarious. So, Kayleigh, you're about to make me feel a lot better. You're about to make me feel a lot better. See, there is a character cameo in this film that then is the end credit scene, okay? And I loved it because I knew who that was, and I got the relevance of him fighting his own hand. So I am cracking up about this. I think this is amazing. And I've suddenly realised I'm alone. I am the only person finding this funny in a cinema of about 300 people. And I get out and I'm like, oh, I've got to talk to Stephan about this. I mentioned to Stephan. And Stephan, what did you say?
Who? What?
Yeah, you didn't know who the hell that was.
It was, completely over my head. I just thought it was a funny moment.
No.
And then the end credit scene happened, and at the end credit scene, I was like, oh, they've done a Spider-Man for us. Like in the Spider-Man movie where the end credit scene was Captain America going, patience.
Yeah.
I was like, no, they've done it again to us. No, made us sit here for 5 minutes, just, what a Marvel like, eh?
Yeah,
and walked out. That was it. And then there's you, Sam. You're like, oh, it was brilliant. Did you get the reference? What? There was a reference?
It seriously made me feel so old. I'm like looking around the cinema. I'm like, it's bad enough I'm looking around. I think I'm probably one of the oldest here. And now I'm like busting myself laughing and then realising that no one else is. And I was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, oops. But yeah, Kayleigh, you just made me feel a lot better because you're younger than me and you got it. So that's fine. The world's a better place for me again.
Happy now.
Yeah, I am. That was it. I'm delighted now. So I want to sort of, obviously we're going to pick out scenes that both of us or three of us want to sort of pick out and talk about, but I'm just going to sort of start off by talking about the opening to the film. And the focus of the film seems to, well, the opening is like America Chavez and Doctor Strange, and I've put Doctor Strange in air quotes here, being chased by some sort of monster creature, and it's chasing her for her powers, and Doctor Strange basically betrays her in this moment, and she then ends up portaling through to Earth 616, which is our Earth, to us, to the center of all things, the thing the MCU is following. As an opening, when you're watching it, Stephan, I'll start with you. Did you think that was our Doctor Strange, or did you straight away think, well, this is a variant, this is something different?
At first, I was like, okay, what's going on here? And then, and then you start thinking, okay, we've got variants and stuff. This is clearly a different dimension variant universe. And then obviously the film's called Multiverse, and I'm like, it took me probably 5-6 seconds to go, no, wait a minute, variant. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Kayleigh, what about you?
Weird thing, but okay.
So I didn't necessarily pick up on it that quick. The moment that I picked up on it was when he betrayed her, because ultimately our Doctor Strange wouldn't do that necessarily. No. However, I have more thoughts on that, which we'll come back to.
Oh, no, share them now.
Tony Stark might disagree.
Well, so when we get further into the film and we start to see all the different iterations of all the characters, something happens with Mordo at the end, towards the end, that makes me think, actually, the core being of all of these people are the same across the multiverses.
I agree.
So our Doctor Strange 1.0, as I'll call him, ultimately could betray whoever he's working with. Because when you look back through the others, that all of their core beings do what you expect them to do. Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting thing for them to explore. And I did wonder if perhaps in this movie we kind of, maybe for the first time, saw the results of the multiverse and him being able to see these other versions and actually learn from it. So, for example, if your core character is to do these things over and over again, you will never be confronted with seeing another version of yourself do that and the ramifications of it. But in this film, he sees the fear in America Chavez's face of him and the way she acts around him and the way she tells the story. He also sees, the one who was corrupted by the Darkhold. He actually, the Illuminati tell him about, the other. So he actually perhaps learns from that. And then when he gets to that position in this movie where he has to make a decision, it's perhaps influenced by all of that, which makes him make the right decision. Potentially the right decision, anyway.
Yeah, I like the way they kind of explored it as well with your variants and what you see in your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool moment.
Well, I don't know about you two, but I suddenly started thinking about my dreams then and thinking, wow.
Yeah.
If that's actually being played out, that's someone, wow. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of messed up lives. I know that. But
yeah, bearing in mind the dreams I was having after I binge watched the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's a variant I don't want to be part of.
No, I did. As a teenager watching Final Destination for the first time, I don't think I slept properly in months. Those variants are having a bad time.
There's a variant of you out there somewhere.
Just rocking backwards and forwards, like never venturing from their home ever again. But yeah, so
just thinking about that moment where they're talking about the dreams and it being another reality. If you call back to an instance with and he tells Pepper about his dream about having a child called Morgan, in theory, that exists in another reality.
Yeah, no, you're
still
right.
Together, and that honestly, that really got to me, and I kind of had a bit of a choked moment. Well, I had a couple during this film, surprisingly, that made. get a bit emotional. But that one, I did like the idea of that.
Well,
somewhere the three of them are happy and alive.
I'm going to be interested now if Stephan had that same fault, or two, if he didn't. Are you okay, man? Do you need a hug?
I didn't, but I am now the one rocking backwards and forward in the chair. Yep, that is Iron Man is my boy, and the idea that he's actually happy now somewhere in another variant. Yeah, I'm happy with that. He got done dirty by Doctor Strange. So.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, overtly ecstatic, 1 being meh, how happy were you that Tom Cruise did not show up as Iron Man in this film?
17.
Yeah, about 30 odd. Yeah.
So, just interesting then, because there were so many cameos rumored for this film, and then there was such a massive load of reshoots done. Do you wonder? I mean, I don't know what you two think, but do you wonder that perhaps they looked at it at some point and they had all these different things lined up, and perhaps, we could do this, and they looked at perhaps some fan reaction, because to all the cameos and stuff, the fan reaction to there being a variant of Iron Man seemed to really anger people. Like, people really didn't want that. It didn't
go down well, did it?
No. Like to me, I kind of saw the funny side to it, because obviously we all know that Tom Cruise was who they wanted originally, until Jon Favreau made them go, no, it's Robert. And all hail Jon Favreau for that decision. But so to me, it would have been kind of like a funny thing. Like, even if it wasn't a live cameo, you imagine like if Doctor Strange is walking through somewhere and there's literally a poster of Iron Man, but it's Tom Cruise's face, and like imagine he does like a double take. That would have been funny to me. That would have been like throwaway. I think him being a main character in it would have been weird.
Yeah, like if we're gonna talk quickly about the cameos and stuff, the way they did the cameos in this movie, I'm like a week and a half, 2 weeks later now, and I'm still sitting there going, still can't tell if I like the way they did them.
Okay, is that because of what happens to them, or just because?
Yeah, like it seems like, I know me and you have had this conversation on the phone after we watched it, and I'm still trying to get my head around. I'm hoping maybe Kayleigh can help with this one. Were the people they brought in as the cameos?
Yeah. Is
that them lining up the future, or is that them just kind of having a bit of a jokey nod to the fan theory?
Well, I mean, we could talk about a cameo. I think the one we're all going to talk about a little bit is Mr. Fantastic, because providing you're both happy about this, because I think it's been 4 years maybe of fans online saying, Mr. Fantastic, this guy, he's our pick.
You could say a fantastic 4 years.
You could say that. You could, but I chose not to.
I wouldn't. It'd be cheesy and horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm glad we avoided that. Yeah. But would you both agree that it's been like, as fan casting goes, that one's been like, when do you ever get an entire fandom go, oh, him, yeah, we all agree, that guy, that's perfect. Don't cast anyone else. John Krasinski, I mean, it's been years. Ever since they announced the Fantastic Four were going to get their own movie, I've seen him photoshopped into the uniform everywhere, and fans just go, yeah, that's the one. So with him being in this, Kayleigh, I'm gonna put this to you, because I know Stephan on this, because me and him have talked about it. I'm in two minds over this, because there's part of me with him being there, I was like, oh wow, that's such a massive thank you to the fans. Even if he doesn't then take the role on or anything like that, that feels like a massive hug to the fans that, look, you wanted this guy, we've been able to get him, he didn't want to do all the films, but we got him for this, there you go, massive hug. But if I feel that way about him being in it, was it then actually a massive middle finger to the fans that they just decimated him?
So I think it would be a bit of an anticlimax if Marvel, brought all these people in and then decided to have them in the film for 7 minutes and then we never hear from them again. The fact that they brought in John is brilliant. Black Bolt as well. Actually, that's almost a redemption for him as an actor. And looking at the Inhumans again, which is great. Having Maria in there, I know that a lot of people expected to see Maria previously, a bit more maybe in WandaVision, and there's a huge storyline with her as a character. So whilst they're gone in that universe, actually, they still exist everywhere else. So there's no reason why they couldn't do more with them. It would be really silly, I think, because the fans love them, and it would be really upsetting if they just brought them in just to get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of what me and Stephan were talking about, because we were kind of like, this was great, but they got, and don't get me wrong, they got destroyed, and that was key part of the film, I think, to talk about Scarlet Witch. But it was the fact it was done so quickly. You're kind of like, oh, that didn't feel good. It would have been the equivalent of Deadpool rocking up just for her to rip Deadpool in half and walk off, and him just lie there. You're like, what? No smart one-liner, no nothing. It would have felt like a complete waste. Stephan, me and you did talk about it a little bit before we recorded this. Well, basically straight after I watched the film. Now we've had that little bit more time. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm still a bit questioning it.
Okay.
Like you just said, they were basically put in the film purely to demonstrate how powerful the Scarlet Witch was.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. There was no character arc, no development, no nothing. It was purely, look at these really powerful characters. They're all dead.
Yeah. And
it was done, like I say, purely just to show, wow, look how powerful the Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah.
So, in that instinct, I'm a bit like, my instinct would have been that we would have got a lot more out of those characters.
Yeah.
As a British person, I am embarrassed to say that I actually cheered when two of the members appeared on screen.
Okay.
Genuinely thought I was going to get kicked out the cinema.
Who did you cheer for?
Professor X and Mr. Fantastic. Well, Professor X, I proper went, yes! Because of the chair and everything. Yeah. Mr. Fantastic was a proper, like, F yeah! Fist pump in the cinema screen.
Yeah.
And, I thought, I then realised I'm British, I'm in England, you don't cheer in a cinema.
No. Kayleigh, what about you? Any cheering from you, Kayleigh, in the cinema?
So it wasn't cheering. Because there were people around, and being the British person that I am, I'm quite reserved, obviously. Yes, but there was a squeak and a fist bump to Logan, because we both kind of looked at each other, and I think it's really important that they did bring them in at this point, because ultimately what every Marvel fan wants to see with the Scarlet Witch is her utter the line, no more mutants, and it's the only way that that's going to happen is by bringing these characters in. So they are here. I'm putting it to my name now. They're here for the long haul, I hope.
Okay. Well, that
would be a line.
That's
a commitment from me.
There's some confidence in her there. I like that. I'm more weary about theories. I made theories. I watched WandaVision and basically theorized the hell out of every episode just to get to the end and go, oh, it was Agatha. Oh, all right.
That's brilliant.
We're talking about the Mephisto theory here, are we?
Yeah.
I still think that's coming. I still think that's coming. I still think you're right, especially with the lady that we see at the end, in the end credit.
I told you I liked her for a reason. Yes. So just to try and keep on this scene then. So we do see these characters. I mean, you say to me about they're definitely going to use them more. We're definitely going to see them more. I'm still not sure. One of the things that to me just felt like a bit, I don't know, cringe, possibly the wrong word, but Mr. Fantastic, the most intelligent man in the universe, and then doesn't really demonstrate that at all. At all. Black Bolt. One word from his lips, and one word from his mouth. What mouth? Again,
that scene, though, to be fair, that scene in the cinema, you sit there and you go, "Oh, that's dark."
I was going to say, did you because that for me, that moment, it's her face to face with the Illuminati. That moment, then when he said that, and she did that, and then we saw the guy's head basically implode. Did anyone else look at that and just think to themselves, okay, so this film's a little bit different? Because I don't think
it was a moment.
Yeah, I don't think I've sat watching a Marvel film at all where a guy's head implodes. And then to see the wonderful, beautiful, incredible Captain Carter, get cut in half with the shield. Not long
with
after,
their own shield.
Not long after muttering the words, "I could do this all day." Maybe not.
No, you can't.
Maybe only half the day. I mean, that was something else.
It's a shock value, though, isn't it? It's a shock value of that. Nobody was expecting it.
Yeah, I still think that if Marvel don't come out with their own brand of spaghetti at some point, they've really missed the trick.
Mr. Fantastic cheese string, I think.
Mr. Fantastic spaghetti, yeah.
I mean, that was just wow. Okay, that he got done fast. I mean, the only one who really managed to put up a fight was a version of Captain Marvel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that even that really, on the grand scheme of things, didn't last long.
Some of them.
Yeah, I
no.
The one that I think, because you sort of saw that, and like you said, the shock value was kind of like crazy. I was like, oh wow. But the one I think that I sort of turned away from and was kind of a little bit, I don't think they needed to do that, is when she took out Professor X so easily. Like, to me, that character is, I've grown up with that character, like, so powerful. His mind is so strong, so powerful. I kind of, like, she didn't need to kill that one. She perhaps could have done something to, incapacitate him, or they could have, like, battled to a stalemate for a while. I don't know. Again, I think perhaps that's my attachment to the character, maybe, but I don't know. Kayleigh, what do you think? I mean, I don't know about you and the X-Men. I mean, like me, the X-Men cartoon as a kid was my introduction to Marvel, to comics, to everything. That was my gateway, if you like. So to me, there's a real attachment.
Yeah, I think they did well with the time that they had. I think it could have been a whole movie on its own.
Oh, definitely,
just with those guys. I think it got the messaging of that. Those couple of scenes was really good.
Yeah.
And they did kind of dip into Professor X's mind.
Yeah.
When he goes into the void with Wanda, and that was typical him. That's typical for his character.
Yeah.
And it was I really liked that scene. But ultimately, what else could they have done in the time that they had? I don't know. I think it would have taken something away from the story if they focused on that too much.
I mean, there is already, which won't shock anyone, released the Raimi Cut online, because apparently there's 40 more minutes of the film that was cut for the cinema. So if 40 more minutes would suggest to me that perhaps there is more to the Illuminati scenes.
I hope so, because to have the characters that we had, like Mr. Fantastic, the most clever, like the genius of the world and the universe and all that, he literally got like 3 lines against Wanda and was dead.
Yeah.
And one of his lines was to give away one of his allies' biggest weakness,
Yeah.
And you kind of watch that, and I'm like, that wasn't Mr. Fantastic. That was dumb.
Yeah.
And
I do have that one opinion on that, is if you're in this universe, and in this particular universe, you are the Illuminati, you are the best of the best, the baddest of the baddest, you see all, you know all, and Scarlet Witch rocks up, who is a very, very different to their happy Wanda with her kids. They've not encountered this version. perhaps it was arrogance. Perhaps it was, we are untouchable, we're the best, come on, sit down, soccer mom, think about
So yeah, she came in looking like a proper soccer mom.
Think how she was dressed, a little bit kind of like, oh, come on, this is silly. We're the Illuminati. Who the hell do you think you are? Did any of you pick up on the very, very faint cameo of a villain from a previous Avengers film getting a mention, and apparently was actually the original voice actor as well, and that was Ultron.
Oh, they mentioned the conversation, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mean the bot? The Ultron bot?
Yeah. So basically,
so I did.
The Illuminati had Ultron, had the shield of armor around the world. It was the Illuminati controlled it. Now, apparently, I don't know. I know, Stephan, you were sort of in and out on this. Kayleigh, I don't know. The animated show What If on Disney Plus. Apparently, season 2 is going to have this universe from Doctor Strange 2. Patrick Stewart, John Krasinski, everyone lending their voices to the Illuminati. So we are actually going to get to see them in that form, which could be a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's not just an episode of their funerals, oh, this Scarlet Witch showed up and killed everyone. Yeah, that might be a bit of a depressing episode. One of the other things that came about with these scenes, so whilst Doctor Strange is there, America Chavez is there, and the Illuminati, I don't know about you two, but I kind of thought the Illuminati were going to play a much bigger role in the film. I think the way the trailers were set up, it made it kind of feel like they were going to be the ones sending Doctor Strange off to, you created this mess, you need to go and fix it sort of scenario. I don't know about you two, whether you had that preconceived idea or not. Stephan, what about you?
Yeah, I did completely. I was like, okay, so Strange is going to get arrested here for time traveling and everything else. Yep. And they're basically going to be a case of, you messed up, you fix it. Or the terms of him, Scooby-Doo this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they didn't. They just kind of told him that their Doctor Strange was really bad, and then murdered him.
And then got married. Yeah. Kayleigh, did you have a preconceived idea for them before the film?
I did. I did think that they were going to be a bit more prevalent in the story, but the story didn't go the way that I expected it.
No, I don't think anyone
did. At the beginning. No, but now I've thought about it, it kind of makes sense because I don't think that the Illuminati were prepared to have Wanda, because if you call back to, when you see the Ultron bots, etc., does that actually mean that program was successful and therefore Vision didn't exist on their Earth, and therefore Wanda wasn't there?
The Vision debate's an interesting one because, of course, all of us would associate Wanda happiness with her children with Vision, but he is not in this film, not mentioned in this film. There's a reason why the actor wasn't involved, apparently, but we're just going to park that. But he's not there.
She says Viz said once, and that is it.
Yeah, but I meant in
that
terms
is that is his reference.
In this universe, she's there happy with her kids. Well, is there a dad? Has she adopted them? What's going on? We don't know, but we do know that she is very much Wanda. She is not the Scarlet Witch in that universe. And like you just said then, Kayleigh, I don't think they were prepared for anything like that. I think their threats, because they talked about how they defeated Thanos. And I think perhaps they, that was their biggest issue, biggest threat. They did not see that one coming. They definitely didn't. So, sorry, one of the things
she's walked in and they've all gone, Wanda, how's it going? Oh my god!
Your clothes are a bit dirty. What's up? One of the things that I want to put to you two, Kayleigh, I'm going to start with you on this because this caught me a little bit, and I wanted to know what you thought. There is a variant of Christine there with the Illuminati, and she's kind of like a lead scientist, and she explains to Doctor Strange that they are fully aware of the multiverse, and they've even numbered them. And she says to Doctor Strange, you are from Earth 616. Now, anyone who's a fan of the comics knows that that's a reference to that. However, Spider-Man, I think Far From Home, so Spider-Man 2, we have a character called Mysterio, who we discover is a fake, but he claims to be a person who has come from another Earth, from the multiverse. And he actually says in the lines, "This is Earth 616. Do we think this is something that should be explored, or do we think in that film the director thought it was a fun throwaway for the comic book fans, but now they've decided to make it canon?" I mean, what do you think, Kayleigh?
I don't know. I think 616 is such a meaningful number that nothing's really throwaway. Everything's got, some kind of reference, meaning that nothing's done, by accident. So I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, to be honest.
Could it be that perhaps there's actually more to that Mysterio character than we thought? Stephan, bringing you in here, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm torn because, as we've seen with Marvel, there is nothing in a Marvel movie that is not meant to be there.
No.
Like, they will drop the smallest little hint somewhere, and then 10 years later, they will come back to it like, yeah, see, we put it there for a reason.
Actually, recently, sorry to interrupt, did you see the interview recently with the Russo Brothers, who basically said that Marvel don't have that master plan? They basically go back to their old movies and go, "Oh, we could use that, we could use this, we could use this."
No way. I haven't seen that interview, but
the Russo Brothers
just destroyed all my theories.
He said, "Well, they basically put stuff in, and they do stuff like nods and stuff, and then when it comes to them planning like their next phase or the next movie, they will then sit and watch their stuff or go through everything, the storyboards, and go, oh yeah, in this movie we said this, we've already set this up, perfect, we'll now do this, and we'll build from that. Oh, the fans will love this because they'll be able to link it to that, etc." So they do.
See, I don't know if I believe that. I take that with a pinch of salt. I don't know, but that might be my emotional attachment to everything. I don't know, but I don't.
The Russo Brothers are the guys behind Infinity War and Endgame, obviously, but they also did Civil War.
Yeah.
So probably, I mean, it could just be the way they did it. Of course, they could just be talking about themselves. Sam Raimi, I think.
Yeah, because.
Yeah, go on, man.
It's like, isn't Feige and his friends all gone off to some exotic resort to go plan the next 10 years of Marvel?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's quite done as off the whim and off the cuff as they kind of have said that.
No.
Like, if there's a 10-year plan, then there's a 10-year plan for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I as a fan, hearing the words "we're planning the next 10 years" is, I enjoyed that. Thank you for the heads up, Kevin. I'm going to be podcasting for another 10 years. Perfect.
It made me really happy until I realised that that's not 10 years starting now, because they've still got like the next 4 years worth of movies lined up. So that's naturally the next 14 years.
Yeah.
And then I felt really old because
don't, because I'm a lot older
I will be taking my kids to go see these movies in the cinema.
Yeah.
And they'll be the right age to watch a Marvel film, and I'll be in my 40s.
And I'll be 50. So moving on back to where I was, and please everyone excuse the guy crying in the corner at that moment.
Kevin Feige's made us all feel really old.
Yeah, I've gone right off that bloke. But yeah, I was talking to you about Mysterio, whether his character has more to it, whether perhaps this is a callback, or whether it was just a throwaway. Kayleigh doesn't want to believe it's a throwaway. Do you want to believe it's a throwaway, or do you think there's... Because perhaps, we saw his tragic backstory being crapped on by Tony Stark. Maybe there was more to it as well. Perhaps we will see him again.
Potentially, I still believe that Mysterio was not a one and done bad guy, because from the comics and stuff, he is too big a character.
Yeah.
So I always believed that he would have to come back in some capacity purely because of the size of the character from the comics.
They did also really set it up, I thought, in that film to suggest he was still alive, because someone recorded the drone footage, released it to the press and all of that stuff. He himself recorded, Spider-Man, he's doing this, he's going to kill me, he's lost his mind. It felt like a massive, plan B setup. Would you do that if you thought you were about to die, or would you do that if you were planning to kind of, okay, this hasn't worked, I'm going to vanish, I'm going to disappear? I don't know.
And, yeah, if he did die, then who had he already told that he'd done all his filming for to release it?
Yeah, it'd be almost like he's got a team behind him, and perhaps that team... Well, we'll have to see. It'd be interesting anyway if that character does appear. It's worth pointing out, of course, that Tom Holland has now officially confirmed he is doing 3 more Spider-Man movies. The press and everyone actually say it's a deal for 6, but he is confirmed, there's another trilogy. They've given me an outline of what it's going to be, and I'm really excited. That was what he said.
They gave me a very brief outline because they can't trust me not to tell everyone.
Trust him? Absolutely not. No. You seen much of the press tour for Doctor Strange 2? What's his name? Benedict Cumberbatch talking with Elizabeth Olsen. And Elizabeth Olsen said, well, I've had a really nice press tour, etc. And he actually said, for me, it's been a delight because I've not been babysitting. And she was like, what do you mean? He said, basically, for the last however many films I've been with Tom, and I am his babysitter because you cannot trust him not to say something. And she said, I think he's poor Tom. She said, I think he's just doing it on purpose. And he was like, nope. You got to see him before these things and after these things. He is a wreck because he knows he'll relax, get chatting, and just say something. It's kind of funny.
He gave away the Spider-Man thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
He gave away the fact that it wasn't him that saved Zendaya's character falling. That scene was awesome. I mean, I wasn't there to see it, but
oops. And it's like there's a video of it on TikTok where someone's done it's in this moment you see in his eyes he knew he messed up. Right, so sorry. I want to talk a little bit about characters then. We've talked about the Illuminati scene. I think that was important. I want to talk about, first of all, this is a Doctor Strange film. It's titled Doctor Strange. Kayleigh, do you think Doctor Strange was the star of this film?
I want to say yes, but no, not really.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think it needed to happen for the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got no kind of qualms over what they did. I mean, like, for me, with Marvel especially, and there's all the team-ups and there's, the multiple characters, it's very rare when the film's titled, so-and-so, that they are the sole focus, and they shouldn't be. Stephan, what about you? Would you say Doctor Strange was the star of his movie?
No, see, now, this is something that I've got a bit of a thing on.
Okay, bring it.
Like, Scarlet Witch may never get her own actual titled movie. However, this movie, it is her character that you see the story arc, you see the character development, you see the absolute heartbreak of her. Like, this is Wanda's movie. Yeah. Doctor Strange, in fairness, he doesn't really have a story arc. He doesn't really have... His character development is purely he gets over his ex-girlfriend.
Okay, well, I'll circle
back
to that.
For me, that's kind of like... That's the overall thing for me, was that what did Doctor Strange get out of this movie? Oh, he realised he could get over Christine. Okay. Whereas the Wanda side of it, Wanda's gone through this whole heartbreak of she's lost her family, she's a mother trying to get back to them. She then, at the end of the film, realises that if I carry on like this, my children are seeing me as the monster, not as their mother. And in the end, she does the right thing to stop it all. And Doctor Strange gets over his ex.
Okay, now, well, I've got an opinion on that. Kayleigh, do you want to jump in, or what do you think? Do you think Doctor Strange has any arc in this at all?
I did. At the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't. It. Yeah. There's so much that goes on that is just kind of side story.
Yeah.
For him, and I agree with Stephan's comments about Christine. And actually, there's a few really good kind of throwaway lines in their dialogue throughout the film. But the only thing it does for him is set up something else. There's no kind of big.
So
Wanda had, when the realization hits her about her kids. It's all just a setup for me. Don't get me wrong, it was brilliant, and I absolutely love his character, and I love everything that's coming for him. But ultimately, this was bringing everything with Wanda to a head. We needed that closure after WandaVision. Yeah.
So wait, for me,
but
sorry,
and there's so many rabbit holes we could go down with it.
If I was just gonna sort of pick some things out, I mean, for me, for example, the start of the film. And we've also seen in Spider-Man, Doctor Strange has a little bit of resentment towards Wong and the fact Doctor Strange isn't the Sorcerer Supreme. That is brought up in this film a couple of times, and it's not like a serious rivalry he's going to bump Wong off or something like that, but it's just it niggles him a little bit. By the end of the film, he's bowing to him, he's happy, he's actually content in his own body. Up to this point, his ambition has driven him. So to me, that felt like an arc for him. That felt like he finally realised that, there's a line that she says to him, Christine, about he has to be the one holding the knife. He has to be in control all of the time. And by the end of it, he actually is okay. Actually, me being me, doing what I do is enough. One can be in control. One can be Sorcerer Supreme. And that, is great, and that to me felt like an arc. Obviously, Stephan hit the nail on the head. He does finally manage to put his relationship with Christine into its perspective, into its kind of never managed to make it work. Perhaps that's actually a good thing. Perhaps
in
that's
any universe.
yeah, they really emphasize that, and it's kind of funny to me that his reaction to it kept going, like all the way through. It was kind of like, so did we manage to? No, we didn't. Okay, right. And by the end, it's just like, of course we didn't work out. No, that's fine, no problem. But it was, that was kind of like a little bit of comic relief, but also at the same time kind of important. It was important that he was able to go, I love the woman. She loved me. It never worked out, and perhaps it didn't work out because I wasn't ready at that time. She's now moved on, but maybe I'm now in a place where I can be something to somebody. Enter.
I did for a split second think. For a split second, I thought he was bringing that Christine back to Earth.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's going to be confusing.
We're going to have two
Christine. Meet Christina. Yeah.
I think that was a hope for me. I hoped, I love them together and their chemistry is brilliant. And I did really hope that, that would happen. And that's in my I thought that's going to be his redemption. They end up together. But the introduction of Kia at the end, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
ultimately, they are soulmates. So I don't know what role Christine is going to have now.
I think perhaps background for the next film, or perhaps won't even be in the next film. But I find it interesting. Like, it's a perfect jumping in point for us to talk about the mid-credit scene. Then, so I didn't know who this character was. I thought it was Psylocke, who's from the X-Men universe, and I kind of was just confused, didn't know. We did a podcast previewing the film, and in that podcast, Stephan read out a list of rumours, like cameos and stuff, and one of them was this one. And at the time, I was like, nah, not heard of that one. That's weird. But Stephan, you had a heads up on this. You read it somewhere. So do you know much about the character?
I see the Supreme Sorcerer of the Dark Dimension, which is where Dormammu was.
Yeah.
In the comics, they actually end up as husband and wife.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange and her, not Dormammu. That'd be weird. Even more weird is that I actually believe in one of the comic book arcs, she's actually Dormammu's niece or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
But this goes back.
Yeah.
So just talking about her in the dark dimension and calling back to your theory, Sam, about Mephisto.
Yeah.
In one of those arcs in the comic book, when they're married, her and Doctor Strange are married, a deal with Mephisto. So that's why I say I think your theory going back is still going to happen.
Okay, I'd be interesting because obviously at the moment Doctor Strange 3 isn't on the slate. However, Benedict Cumberbatch has confirmed he's going to play this character for the next 10 years if they'll let him. He has also said they've given him a rough outline of what they want to do. And, you know, he thinks it's going to be quite good. So with the MCU, with the previous phases, one of the things we saw was the Captain America films kind of served as almost like a end point or jumping off point for me, where it was like, okay, here's this storyline, and then we have this explosion into the next storyline. And I did wonder if perhaps the way they're setting this up with Doctor Strange, whether Doctor Strange is now going to serve as that. And the reason why I think is because we're obviously been hinting at the multiverse for a little while now with the TV show Loki especially, and a few other bits and pieces, WandaVision obviously. But with this film, you know, it cracks it open. You know, this is kind of like, okay, this is happening now. Here's a character, you know, in America Chavez who's literally jumping between them. This exists. This is where we are. And obviously with the mid-credit scene as well, we know that something's going to happen to take us forward. It sounds to me like Doctor Strange 3, they've got an idea for it, but it's far away. It sounds to me from the interviews, they're kind of like, yeah, that's going to serve as an almost, once this arc is done, the next arc is going to involve that. What I don't know, Kayleigh, what do you think? Do you think it can possibly serve as like a introductory or kind of a jumping off point? I mean, I don't know, what do you think? I always thought that way about the Captain America films, but you might not agree. What do you think?
No, I do agree. And I think, you know, there's so many possibilities that at some point they just kind of have to pick a theme and stick with it, if you like, because it could go off in a million and one different directions. And if it, you know, that could get confusing for everyone involved.
Yep.
And we saw in the previous phases, you know, they have an end goal in mind, and they have to kind of obviously line those films up to meet that goal. And you know, you can't just, that's not a random thing.
No.
So yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be done in some sort of way that the audience can follow as well, because I think for the hardcore comic fans, seeing the arcs that they loved seeing in the books is great for them. But I've said this before, and I know, Stephan, we've talked about it. Sometimes comic book arcs don't translate to good TV or good movies. Yep. With the multiverse, I've always been a little bit nervous. You know, I've been kind of like, ooh, I don't know, this could be too much. You know, this could be a bit, okay, I'm lost. With this film, did you feel that way at all, or did you feel this film actually kind of opened the door to it in a way that, okay, yeah, I'm following this?
In a weird way, both.
Explain your answer, dear boy.
So,
show you're working.
Yeah, no, I followed what was happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. Like, in terms of this movie, I followed it okay. The problems I have is things like Wanda's death at the end.
Okay.
So we've seen the variant of Wanda. We know there's other Wandas out there. Now, Wanda being one of my favourite characters dying at the end, that should have been like a real, oh my God, sad moment.
Yeah, I mean,
but the multiverse kind of takes the edge off it, because I'm like, oh, okay, that variant's dead. There's another variant, whatever.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, because you've hit this point here, I will jump on it, because I do think it's a valid thing. And Kayleigh, I'd love your opinion on this. With the multiverse now open, and we do know all these variants are out there, and there's infinite numbers of the characters. Much like in the comic books now, anyone who's died isn't dead. It's open for everything. Do you think that takes away the impact? Because like Stephan, me and him discussed this, and I agree. When Wanda died in this, it didn't have that same gut punch to me as previous deaths.
No, and that's a worry for me. I have such a strong emotional attachment to the characters and the people that play them, from the first few movies, that actually to then just kind of go, oh, here's Iron Man again. That would be a real kind of moment.
I'm very glad they didn't do that, because going into it I was kind of like, oh, it could be fun, it could be funny, but actually watching the film, I'm really glad they didn't.
No, and
Imagine.
I think
yeah. Go on, Kayleigh.
No, I was just going to say, that this new set of films has set so much up for a new round of characters. The young Avengers, we're seeing people from, characters we don't necessarily have that relationship with, and I hope that we build those attachments to the new ones like we did with the original. So I think it would be a huge disservice for them to just go, oh, and now here's Iron Man again, here's anyone else that disappeared. But Wanda, I think that there's so much more for her story.
I agree
that they could do something really clever with that ending and the fact that she's dead.
Here's a thing as well I want to throw out there whilst we're discussing it. Is there any part of you that doesn't actually think she's dead?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
No, forget the multiverse. I just mean this version, this character. And there's one main reason why, and that's that she is so powerful in this. We've seen so insanely powerful. One of the things we saw in WandaVision when she became the Scarlet Witch and was battling Agatha Harkness was that she was able to basically just vanish into thin air and then reappear. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, if I'm in a building that's collapsing, that's a skill that could come in quite handy.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's almost like she can do the fake her own death, disappear and go live off.
Yeah.
No one's going to come and hunt her down. Like Doctor Strange went to go find her for her help.
Yeah.
No one's going to do that because, Doctor Strange saw her die being collapsed in a building. So she's now got this ability to literally just disappear and go live her life wherever.
I'd find that interesting. I mean, I know they've said there wouldn't be a WandaVision 2, but there is an Agatha Harkness show coming to Disney Plus.
Yep.
I mean, you try and it's like fantasy booking, it's kind of like, this is what I'd love to see, but there is a part of me that would love to see Wanda in that. Imagine she goes back there. She set that place back straight and gave Agatha that life to live. Imagine she goes back there and just wants to fit in, changes her appearance and just wants to kind of live a life, like you said, basically with no one knowing who she is. That could be kind of fun, because at the moment, the Agatha Harkness show, I don't really know what story they're going to be telling. Because they talked a bit about filling in some of the history of her character, so some sort of flashback stuff. But she's currently enchanted and living at that place, not knowing who she is. So unless that show literally is going to be a sitcom, literally going to be one of the WandaVision versions we're going to get, which of course with Disney Plus you never know.
Like the option they've got is it's either going to be like a history documentary of Agatha through the ages, or it's going to be the sitcom. But the bit that gets me is Agatha's last line was like, "You're going to need me at some point," or paraphrasing, and that's what makes me think Wanda's not dead.
It is, and you could imagine perhaps her going back there like, okay, I need to, because she has been corrupted by the Darkhold. There's no two ways about it. And Agatha's the one who knows about this. And like you said, there was that line, "You're going to need me." Kayleigh, would you like to see her come back into a Disney Plus kind of setting like that? Or do you think she merits actually a blockbuster all on her own?
Both, actually.
Both?
But I think you need to be really careful, because you can only do the, "Oh, they're dead. Oh, no, they're not" thing once before it gets really tedious.
I agree.
I think the relationship between her and Agatha is almost, like Stephan said, I need you to help me. You know more about this stuff than I do.
Yeah.
You can help me. And her series, I can almost feel it being a bit like that. So I can see her showing up there and then almost getting a, redemption movie or something, you know, or not a redemption movie, but a standalone movie, a bit like Black Widow, where we get to see, you know, the aftermath of what's just happened. However, with Doctor Strange carrying on and the multiverse carrying on and all of these other theories flying around about lots of different things, she could slot in pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, no, she can. You're right. Yeah.
So I don't think, you know, I don't think she's a side character at all.
No.
I think she absolutely warrants her own movie. She's had her series now. But I guess it depends on what direction they're going to go in, because I don't know what her relationship is in the books with like the new Avengers, the young Avengers, you know, that kind of thing. So
well, I think the key is that the books are very much the source material for storylines. However, the MCU has shown from day one they're willing to adjust it to make it better for the screen, which I think's been smart. They've made a lot of changes which are sensible. You know, like in a comic book, you can kind of go, yeah, okay. But to try and make it grounded and, you know, in air quotes, real, you know, a real world with unreal things happening, they have had to make changes, and I think it's worked. One of the characters we're introduced to in this, obviously, is Mr. Fantastic. We talked a little bit about it earlier on. One of the fun theories at the moment, which I kind of love, is how will you bring this character into the Earth 616 world? Where is he? You know, if we look across the multiverse and these people exist all the way across it, and the theory I saw, which I absolutely love, and I would really enjoy it to be true, is that different multiverses are on different kind of time frames. So whereas one character like Professor X, for example, in that one with the Illuminatis, the guy in the yellow chair, much older, the McAvoy version could be in another universe right now, so a younger version. So, you know, like time's just moved differently in different universes.
Yeah.
And so the theory is that in 616, the way they're going to introduce Mr. Fantastic is, you remember the scene in one of the Avengers films, Tony Stark says to a group of students, all your projects have been funded. Go and, you know, break some eggs.
Yeah.
One of the people in there is going to be Mr. Fantastic. He is going to be one of those students, and they are going to backsell the story that he then took that grant money, went away, developed like incredible things, and now with Tony Stark in his time kind of being done, the MCU now is going to have him emerge as the kind of the tech guy, the genius.
That's interesting, actually, because on 838, where Christine is, she works at the Baxter Foundation, which is a known phrase. And in Fantastic Four, obviously, there's the Baxter buildings. I wonder if that's going to be their kind of jokey tie-in, that you kind of spot that, you know, and there'll be some kind of reference. Like we said, you know, nothing's accidental. So the Baxter thing coming up again might just be their little kind of hint. Well, that is going to be brought forward.
We've had it in 3 different things now. 2 movies, 1 TV show, where they have mentioned the Stark Tower or Avengers Tower has been purchased by somebody. But as of yet, we don't know who that is. If you were a student and you got your big break because of Tony Stark, you know, he funded your project that enabled you to make your money, build your company. Buying that tower would be a kind of, you know, full circle moment for you, wouldn't it? You know, like buying your hero's building. And it'd be a great way of like a continuation. Do you
turn it into the Fantastic Four building.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's so many theories out there and so many ways you could go with it. The thing I'm a little bit guarded about, and I think this movie taught me this, is not to kind of listen to the theories and create the theories in my own mind to then go, this is what it is, because then when it isn't that, you end up feeling disappointed. I did it so many times with different things, and then I sort of watch it, and then the funny thing is I watch it again and I love it. Like I watch it a second time, I'm like, oh, this was amazing, this was great. But the first time I watch it, I'm kind of like, oh, it wasn't this. Oh, gutted. And I'll give you a perfect example. In this movie, The Multiverse of Madness, I wanted to see a scene where we had a variant of Wong. So we had 2 Wongs there, and I wanted Doctor Strange to say 2 Wongs don't make a right. The fact they didn't use that joke in this film will forever haunt me. And I want to speak to the writers. I want to speak to the director. That was an opportunity, and it was wasted.
That is going to be a long-term, they're going to make everyone hold off until the very last movie, and it'll be the last line.
Yeah, the two
and
ones.
Everyone will go, and everyone will cheer.
Yeah, I'll be able to. That'll just be it. I'll just be like, yeah, I'm done. I've retired from everything. I've achieved my goal. Yeah.
Wong was one of the characters that I was surprised no variant was even mentioned.
No, I know. Yeah, because
which makes me think, because he was the Sorcerer Supreme, like, you would have thought there'd be another variant of him somewhere.
Yeah, but like, remember America Chavez said, like, everywhere I've been, the Sorcerer Supreme's been Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
because in this one, Wong just gives him like a little smirk. Not here, bud.
Yeah. Everywhere but you.
Yeah, everywhere but you. Like, yeah, all right, thanks for rubbing it in.
That was basically Wong's way of saying, see, if you had put one of the circle things round Thanos' head and killed him to begin with, you wouldn't have been dusted, you'd be the Sorcerer Supreme. So your fault. Ha.
That's nearly as good as the Ant-Man theory of shrinking up Thanos' ass and then exploding. I mean, I think I know that some of our characters are overpowered. I do want to say though, which I do think this film again brings the point up. I think Wanda was about to kick Thanos' ass in Endgame. When he shouted rain fire down and like the guy said, but our troops, he's like, Thanos was dead. I think he was about to get his ass kicked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because you see people watching this film and like the reactions like, oh, she was so overpowered, it was too much and stuff like that. And I kind of look at it and I go, yeah, I kind of feel that a little bit, but it's not like we haven't seen how badass she is before. She's been kind of growing into this whole time. And with the grief over watching Vision die twice and then being confronted with Thanos, because of course, although the snap happened 5 years, for her it was a blink. We got to see that in the Hawkeye series, didn't we, with Elena? Like literally she went into the bathroom and then came back out and it had been 5 years. So for Wanda, or the Scarlet Witch, that that pain was right there, and she like rocked up and just took him apart.
Oh yeah, like she was definitely. They showed already just how powerful she was, and that was pre Darkhold and Scarlet Witch.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No. One of the scenes, and I know I'm jumping around all over the place, but I want to try and cover as much as I can because I think some of this stuff's just really funny. But one of the scenes I did want to discuss was the mention of Spider-Man. Now, Stephan, I'm going to bring you in after because I know you have a little thing about this. But Kayleigh, what did you think about that scene where America Chavez is basically almost got the giggles over the thought of a Spider-Man and is asking questions like, does he look like a spider?
I did have a little chuckle.
Yeah.
That was a nice light relief moment in a pretty dark, horrific film.
Yes, yeah, it was. I mean, the bit about does he shoot webs out of his ass and stuff like that, and Doctor Strange being like, I really hope not. like
no, and do you know what? That's I really like that because America's a young girl. Yeah. She's quite naive. She's got no family around her. So she's quite immature in a way.
Yeah.
So their relationship is almost could be like parent-child, like a guide to her, a mentor.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think one of the best things in the MCU so far, for me personally, was the relationship between Iron Man and Spider-Man, Tony Stark and Peter Parker.
Yeah.
That kind of father figure to him was amazing. And if they can replicate that, because, of course, we had the movie where Doctor Strange kind of tried to be like that with Peter, and we know how that went. And it'd just be interesting.
You ask Doctor Strange for help, it doesn't end well.
No, it doesn't end well. But I like that scene. I find that scene really funny. But Stephan, you had a problem with it.
I hated that scene so much.
Okay, you tell us why, and then Kayleigh, you tell him why he's wrong.
So So at the end of the Spider-Man movie, Doctor Strange does a spell so that everyone forgets who Peter Parker is. People don't forget who Spider-Man is, they forget who Peter Parker is. So his identity remains a mystery, etc. But that means that Doctor Strange still fought against Thanos with Spider-Man. He was still on Titan with Spider-Man. Why would he suddenly not know if he shoots webs from his wrist or his ass?
See, I really think I don't think that was that. I really think that she asked a question like, you know, because he says, doesn't he climbs walls, shoots webs, and she's like, does he shoot him out of his ass? And I think he's just jokingly like, I hope not. Just because
it came as a sarcastic moment to me, not I don't know, I'm just going to make it up.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your train of thought there, Stephan. I'm not going to rip you a new one because I get it.
Aww, that's dull.
Thank you.
See how nice I'm being today.
Fight.
It was one of those ones
Fight. Oh, I really.
When we watched
I was going to sit back then and just let you two go.
No, it was one of those weird ones because I heard half the cinema like chuckle at the line, and I'm sat there and I'm like, "What? No, he knows who Spider-Man is. What? It was one of those sort of moments. I don't know if it was like the joke might have just been completely lost on me, but yeah, I just sat there and I was like, "No, you know who Spider-Man is. You just don't know who Peter Parker is."
I think maybe if you watch it again, when you watch it a second time, see if it hits the same way for you or whether you feel, whether you feel different. Because it's possible, I don't know about you two, but I watch these films sometimes and I enjoy them on a second or third viewing because I'm kind of watching so intensely. Like, I'm kind of like, okay, watch for the detail. Okay, now look at the background. Anything happening in the background? No, okay. Oh, there's a notice board. Read the notices. Come on, there's bound to be something there.
There's an Easter egg somewhere.
Yeah. And I shouldn't do that. I should watch it the first, maybe a second or third viewing is when I do that. The first time should just be sit back and enjoy. And I know that. But I can't help it. It's like my brain has this kind of like, it's a Marvel film. Stuff's going to happen. Keep your eyes peeled. Oh, what does that mean?
The second watch is always the enjoyment watch for me. The first watch is very intense, very intently watching. And then the second one, you just sit back and relax. Even now, I watched Endgame yesterday for the 9 millionth time. And I still kind of pay such intense attention to things.
I need to know roughly, and to the nearest 10, how many times have you seen Endgame? Roughly.
We're reaching, early three figures, easy.
Okay. Whoa, serious?
Oh yeah, she loves this film, man. Yeah, her kids, she loves this film. Right now,
it's just on in the background. I'll be working and it's on.
At what number?
No, I can really upset you then.
No. Wait. Because I'm lining this up. So, what number roughly did you get to before you stopped being emotional over Iron Man's death?
Well, I cried yesterday, so I'll let you know.
I knew it. Stephan. Now, how many times have you watched Endgame the whole way through?
3.
And why is that, buddy?
Because I can't do the end scene every time.
I will admit there are occasions when I kind of, I'm just going to go make a cup of tea.
Oh,
or I'm just going
to
type an email really quickly. Yeah. It depends how emotional I'm feeling.
Oh, did I accidentally hit skip on the remote? Never mind. Yeah. No.
It's actually, of all of the MCU films, I genuinely believe Infinity War and Endgame are my least watched.
Yeah.
I went to the cinema 4 times to see Spider-Man No Way Home.
He really did.
So I've actually seen No Way Home more times than I've seen Infinity War and Endgame.
And that's on Disney. That stuff's on Disney Plus, man. You can just put that on and watch that all day. I'm trying to think which one I've watched the most, and I actually Thor Ragnarok. I think that's the one I've put on the most, just like in the background doing stuff. That's mostly because I just love Korg.
Yeah. No, mine is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Yeah, also fun. A lot of fun. The Guardians film, Thor Ragnarok, a lot of fun. Just very quickly, I saw this yesterday, and I think both of you will really appreciate it. You know the character Luis in Ant-Man? And
Yes.
he does those ridiculously detailed explanations of things.
I love it. Yep.
There's been a petition for ages that Disney Plus do a series where he does that for every new release on Disney Plus. So recapping the story up to the point of the film, and then the film will start. And there's been a thing like people say, "Oh, this would be hilarious. You should do it. You should do it." And the actor said jokingly in an interview, said, "Oh no, I've seen that." And I said, "Yeah, of course I'd do that. It'd be fun." Yeah, it's been confirmed yesterday. It's happening.
Wow.
We are getting
amazing.
a Disney Plus shorts that are going to be about 5 minutes each, and he's going to do it for every film that's been released. So, like, even Iron Man 1, and apparently the Iron Man 1 is just going to be him going like, "Don't know who this dude is, he's in Iron," it's just going to be because then everything's going to build from there. And they reckon by every new release, then every series for the MCU, everything, he's going to do a little recap to bring the audience up to date.
That is the best news. That is amazing.
It's gonna be funny. It's
fan power.
That's it though. But then you look at the fan power. We're talking about the Multiverse of Madness. This has been in the cinema 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks at the time of us doing this, maybe 3. And there's
2.5 weeks. Yeah.
There's already a petition with over 500,000 signatures to release the Raimi Cut.
Oh, wow.
Well, he said, there's additional 45 minutes of film cut, plus other scenes and stuff, but, his director's cut is 45 minutes longer. And, that the thing is with Disney Plus and everything now, you just know that that's going to be there. Because it's a big selling point for them, All these people go to the cinema and all these people sign this petition, then they go, all right, fine. On Disney Plus, you'll be able to watch, the cinematic release or the Raimi Cut. Download the app now.
I don't know. I see them doing it to the cinema. If they do it out soon
they
enough,
could,
I can
yeah.
see it.
I think they should.
Yeah. You can do that with these types of films, can't you? Because like you demonstrated with Spider-Man, you went to the cinema how many times to watch that film?
Yeah, 4 times. I saw it in IMAX, 3D, 2D, and the 4DX.
How was the 3D, by the way? I don't like. I bought.
I don't like 3D.
No, I'm not a big fan of that. How was it?
If a film is made for 3D, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can look a bit goofy in times.
Yeah.
Watching it in 4DX, that was insane.
Okay.
So 4DX is where if it's raining on the screen, they have a sprinkle effect.
Yeah.
The chairs move and rumble, wind and all stuff like that.
Sorry, wait a minute. Back up. So, when you say they have a sprinkler effect, are you telling me you're sat in the cinema and someone literally pours water on you?
There is a mister, so you feel a bit of water in a rain scene.
So if I went to watch Saving Private Ryan with that, would I get shot up on a beach? I'm really confused.
I mean, the vibration in the chair would probably feel like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm never doing that.
It was him swinging through the streets and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, you start getting like travel sick. Like the chairs are swinging, the 3D's going, the wind's blowing in your face. You're like, whoa.
Nope.
This film, I can imagine Doctor Strange in the 4DX being just as trippy.
Oh no, that's actually
especially going through the multiverses. Can you imagine? Yeah,
your chairs moving, the wind's hitting you in the face, the 3D of it all. You'd be like, oh my gosh.
Can you see? I reckon that'd be a great TikTok video if someone could film you doing that. Just like, and here he is turning green. So
it's okay. I'm not filming the screen. I promise. I'm just filming me.
Yeah. I'm a streamer, honest. We talked a little bit earlier on about the kind of the movie and the character arc, and we talked about Doctor Strange's character arc. So I want to talk about America Chavez. This character is introduced to us in the opening scene, and we go through the movie sort of following her. Kayleigh, you touched on a minute ago about how she was very young, very naive. Her parents kind of, is gone. We don't know whether she's ever going to be able to reunite with them. Doctor Strange was very adamant it had happened. I'm not so sure. But what did you think, open question, but I'll start with Kayleigh. What did you think about her arc through this movie?
I thought it was great. I think there's still a lot more to come, obviously.
I agree.
I think she's great. I really like her. I like her as an actress. I like her as a character. I think the way that they've kind of set her up, I think she's going to be a very integral part of the next few films. And I think she will become almost... we'll get that emotional attachment to her like we did with Peter Parker. We'll see her grow up on screen.
I loved that ending that she's now training at Kamatage. I loved that. That was kind of like, oh, that's perfect for her, with that ability she's got. That's kind of learning and the control aspect. Stephan, what did you think about her character and the kind of arc throughout the movie for her?
I thought it was brilliant. I really enjoyed her character through it. And like you say, the ending that she's now learning to be a sorcerer and the power she's got, it worries me at how powerful she could become.
Yeah.
Like if she can travel through the multiverse and like we saw her use the cosmic punches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then she's a sorcerer as well. She's going to become powerful.
Well, yeah.
My thought kind of is, so we know we've got Quantum Mania next, with Ant-Man, but after that, it's kind of like, well, the Thor movie's probably not going to deal with it too much. We're going to get the variant of Lady Loki, but we
Sylvie,
don't know.
You mean?
Not Lady Thor. Sorry, my bad.
I don't think that's going to be a variant. I think that's going to be Jane Foster of 616.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, where do we next see the multiverse?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, with Jane Foster's character, that was the only place I could see a potential like variant.
Yeah.
Because once we've done Ant-Man, it's Thor. We've got.
I'm pretty sure Thor's next, mate.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying, like, it's just in terms of films coming out. We know we got a Black Panther movie coming out. I can't imagine multiverse in that either. So, looking at it, I'm kind of like looking at it going, okay, so where are we going to see America Chavez next?
Okay, right, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is the honest answer. But
one of my thinkings was, remember how we got those like first few films, and then we had the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, you had Thanos doing the whole I'll do it myself thing.
Yeah.
And that set us up to, okay, so this new character, this big purple dude, is going to obviously be a big character, and it all built towards Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't see a big team up Avengers style movie on the horizon.
No.
Where are we gonna go with the next big bads, and who is it? Like,
I have a theory.
We all assume it's gonna be Kang.
Yeah, I mean, I think us actually being introduced to Kang the Conqueror will be in the Quantum Mania film. I think,
he's noted to be the bad guy, isn't he?
But I think, like you said, with the initial films in the MCU, we didn't really have any linking until the after credits. They were all kind of standalone movies, and then the after credits were the links, and then obviously the Avengers, and from that point you kind of had, each of them popping up in each other's movies on a fairly regular basis.
Yep.
But with this now, I think everything's going to start setting these things up. So like the Spider-Man aspect kind of felt like that was concluding that trilogy, kind of like, okay, let's conclude that trilogy, but here's all the hints, here's all the little hints about what could be out there. A fun thing online I want to put to you both, which might make you laugh, is someone's pointed out that this is the multiverse of madness. So we are seeing Doctor Strange travel between the multiverse and seeing all these different variants of people. Everyone looks the same. And yet in Spider-Man, we had 3 very different looking Spider-Men.
Yep.
So, what with that?
Yeah, go on, Kayleigh. I want to hear your... Go on.
I was just going to say I think about this all the time. And it really frustrates me. I'll be in the shower and I'll sit and it will just, shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts. They're often the best.
Really frustrates me. However, obviously, with the rumours with Tom Cruise's Iron Man, I'm glad they didn't do that. If they could just keep it to just being Peter Parker and that just being, a funny callback and just to tie all of those three movies together and we just forget about it and move on, I'm happy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I agree with you. I also think, if the multiverse is infinite, then you are going to get, and if you've got multiverses at different time frames, Tom Holland obviously considerably younger than the others, so you could be looking at the future and stuff. So yeah, there are definitely going to be variants, differences, some very, very close, like literally look identical, work the same way. The only difference is perhaps this one likes toast and the other one doesn't. It's going to be that
one loves Marmite, one hates it.
Yeah.
But you look at the Illuminati characters, Captain Marvel. I know they've got slightly different names, but ultimately, they are different people. So I'd like to understand the logic. At what point does it kind of, become a different embodiment?
It's funny because you can look at that. We watched the Captain Marvel film and we know the two of them were test pilots. So in essence, that could be as simple as on that day, it was her who took that plane and not the other one. Just in that universe, that was the only difference. So, it is interesting. And it is interesting to see how they're going to develop it because there are fears around it. Like Stephan highlighted it, our characters are never truly going to be dead now, which is kind of good, but then not good at the same time because you don't get that same emotional attachment and payoff because you're like, never mind, they'll be back next week or whatever. But just to wrap up what we were talking about, America Chavez, I really like that character, and it's funny because so many times when I see things lined up now, I look at the MCU and I look at what they're doing with the Disney Plus shows and I look at what they're doing with the characters and I think a lot of these characters aren't going to be for me. Now, that's fine. That's not me saying, like, I won't like them. That's just me, like, this one isn't aimed at me. I've had Iron Man aimed at me. I've had, white guys coming off the rat, Captain America, Thor, all of that, all of that is aimed at me. So I kind of look at these characters and go, this one's not going to be for me. So don't, I'm telling myself, like, don't go into it and be like, that was crap, because it's not. It's just not aimed at you. I loved her. I thought she was brilliant. she made me laugh the whole way through the film.
What depressed me the most is the fact that at filming that she was 15 years old.
Okay.
I was getting ready to fail my GCSEs.
That's living the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, she's living the Marvel dream, and I was getting ready to fail my GCSEs at 15. You know what I mean? Take my GCSEs. Sorry, just in case any family are listening.
Yeah, just in case anyone who's ever seen the fake CV I wrote's listening. Yeah. I loved her character, and I thought her arc was quite good as well, because you got at the start of the film, she's being betrayed by Doctor Strange, and she's angry that he would betray her and take her power. By the end of the film, she's like, okay, I think you should do it. She's almost resigned to, like, she's not grown up fully, now, but she's kind of like, I get it, and I've watched you fight this. She's never going to stop, she's going to wreck, and all these people are going to keep dying because of me. So I thought it was great, and it also showed that her as a character, she's wise beyond her years, and I think her training at Camotage, I'd love to see that develop. Talking about fan power and talking about the Luis thing and how much fun that's going to be, and the fans did that. There is currently another fan thing that they would love to see, and the actor himself who plays Wong has said he'd be really up for it. Could you imagine a Disney Plus show called Master and the Apprentice, and it's Wong and Ned from Spider-Man?
That'd be cool.
So that is something that fans are clamoring for, and someone asked him on the press tour, and the guy who plays Wong just went, "Oh my god, that'd be amazing." He said, "I'd love that." Yeah. I think all of us would kind of like that, because apparently Ned and Zendaya's character MJ, they're not going to be in the next Spider-Man film.
Oh,
yeah. Apparently the next is going to be they've got this arc lined up, and it's going to be him going off like college, because they're going to be somewhere else. They'll probably be referenced like hell, but yeah, it's about him going off by himself and meeting different people.
Of course, because they're at MIT, which is where we're expecting to find, is it Ironheart?
Yeah, a few different things. Yeah, so they are still very much in this. They're still very much, but they're going to be away from him for a while. But yeah, the next Spider-Man film, they're not going to be in it, but of course, still be involved in MCU projects. So there's all sorts of rumors about, MJ's going to be dating somebody, possibly a certain person called Osborn, and all sorts of things. And
oh god, that's how we're going to get Harry Osborn in, yeah.
It's how we're going to get Harry Osborn. It's how we're going to get Spider-Man absolutely snap. Just as long as he doesn't do the full Tobey Maguire evil guy dancing, I don't mind. I'm good with that if he doesn't do that.
It's
but
kind of iconic though.
So we talked about Doctor Strange, talked about America Chavez. We touched on, Wong's in this, and I did have one moment where I thought Wong was killed. I wasn't happy. I got to be honest with you. I was very worried that they just killed Wong like that. Luckily, I was Wong, and he was fine. The other main character then that we want to talk about this movie and their arc throughout it is Wanda, is Scarlet Witch. Kayleigh, I want to kick off with you on it. What do you think about this? Because obviously, it's very easy to look at this film and go, Wanda's the bad guy. Wanda's the evil character. What are your thoughts on this? Because she does go on one hell of an arc throughout the movie.
She does. I've got mixed feelings, I guess, because
okay, so explain them and show your workings. Yep.
She's not a bad guy for me. Without sounding like a complete psychopath.
Wow. Stephan, abort.
I
appreciate off and killed all these people. Not a bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, not a bad bone in her body. Yeah.
I appreciate her feeling, and if it was me and I lost my children, I would go on one hell of a rampage, and I would probably react in a very similar way if I had her powers. But I'm good.
I'm glad you added that last.
Yeah, I'm glad you added that last line. I'm really glad, because that based it back into comic book realm, and everyone took this massive sigh of relief.
Because otherwise, this podcast was about to be used as a witness.
Kids went missing in Asda for 10 minutes, and she rampaged and killed 30 people. I told you it'd happen. Anyway, sorry, Kayleigh. Oh, don't say you would.
I actually would.
I've got that recorded now. I've literally got Kayleigh would kill 30 people if their kids went missing for 10 minutes. Come on, Kayleigh.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's an emotional thing for me. I don't want her to be a bad guy.
No.
But I can kind of appreciate her logic, I guess. And I want her to have a redemption, story.
Is it appreciate the logic or appreciate the pain? It's kind of like she should know that the kids weren't real. Logically, she should know that there are lots of other ways to be a mother, logically. But her pain and her grief, I mean, I get that. I mean, we've all sadly been in our lives and lost people. There's just no way you can. Her grief. I mean, it's just so intense. But her arc in this for me is funny, because going into the film, there had been this talk about, Wanda's going to be the bad, going to be the adversary. Scarlet Witch is going to be the one fighting Doctor Strange, and the trailers kind of showed it a bit. And I thought it was a big fake out. I went into it thinking, nah, that's going to be a variant of Wanda.
Yep.
They're going to be having to deal with these different things. Our Wanda wouldn't do that. She's just had that bad time at WandaVision. She's apologized. She just wants a quiet life. And I was like,
I was the same.
But she was reading the Darkhold. That was kind of in the back of my mind. It's kind of, but she was on the Darkhold. And then we had that, straight away, we're introduced to her. And Doctor Strange is talking to her, and then she drops that line about America, and Doctor Strange's face is like, Wanda, what have you done?
You didn't tell me her name, did you?
No.
Crap.
And then she lifts the illusion, and the place is just scorched earth. She made it look like she was walking through this beautiful orchard, and it's not. The whole place is just torched. Another little detail in this film, I don't know if you guys noticed this. Did you notice her fingers were getting blacker and blacker the more she did?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see that at the end with Doctor Strange, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it does, you know, it's always collects its toll, as they say, and you can Agatha the same.
Yeah,
You know,
massively, yeah.
um,
So if we work on the theory that the Darkhold has now been destroyed, do we think therefore that Doctor Strange still has some issues? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I find the third eye thing creepy.
Yeah, that was strange.
Like,
I didn't
need
really
that.
Yeah.
Like his variant having it. If you watch the What If show, you kind of know why. But
yeah,
him then having that appear on him, I was like, I don't see this as a good. Like, I don't. I mean, like,
yeah, like
use of CGI in these films is obviously high anyway, but I'm like, this isn't necessary. You don't need that.
no, I agree. Like that end part of the film where he's all happy and chipper and he's walking down the road and he's like, "Oh, life is good."
Yeah.
And then he starts getting like the headache thing, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is like the Darkhold having the effect. He's having like some flashy bits. Okay, this is cool." And then the eye opens on his forehead, and I'm like, "Nope,
no,
I'm good."
I'm glad it wasn't just me. I find that like unnecessarily creepy. And then for the the mid-credit scene where he's then jumping through the portal with the woman who he's just met, as you do. Typical guy, by the way. Hot woman shows up and says, "You're coming with me," and he just goes, "Yeah, all right."
No, go on then.
God,
yeah.
So we are so simple, dude. It's so bad.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing about that is every guy went, "Yeah, I'd go." Yeah.
Yeah.
She shows up and says, "Come with me," and cuts a hole in reality. Yeah, come on, babe. Off we pop. Idiot.
Let's go.
But then, but my point is, then that eye's there. Like, he's now got control of it. That's now when he's using his powers. He has 3 eyes. I mean, I hope not.
Well, if you
But I think
include the eye of
that's
Agamotto, he's now got 4.
Oh yeah, true. Sorry, Kayleigh, you were saying?
No, I was just going to say that's the kind of symbolism, isn't it, of the after effects of the Darkhold. So that's probably something that they can explore further, because ultimately it's not a good thing that it's taken hold. And maybe that is how we bring Wanda back. She knows it inside and out. Are they gonna help him?
There's an interesting arc. So Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange is very much the good guy, and Wanda's very much the bad guy. How about Doctor Strange 3 is a reverse? Doctor Strange has been so corrupted, and she has recovered. Perhaps Agatha's helped her, like we said, and it's actually her. She needs to come back into it and stop him, basically prevent him from going full dark side.
Yeah,
that would work. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah,
Kevin, if you're listening, mate, we've solved it for you. You don't need that retreat 10 years. We got it. We're done. We've developed about 5 Disney Plus series for you. We've written the next batch of films. Done, mate. Done. Easy. We talked about characters dying and coming back or faking their deaths and stuff. The one character, of course, you're allowed to do that is Loki. I'm quite happy with Loki to die and be reborn every week. I'm good with that. Because he's an asshole and he does it to torment. Joe, something I learned the other day. You know the scene where Thor in Thor Ragnarok's talking about Loki transformed himself into a snake because he knew I loved snakes, and I picked him up, and then he transformed into him and stabbed me.
Yeah,
that was ad-libbed.
Yeah, he made that up on the spot.
I couldn't believe that. I was like, what? Where did that come from? Because I remember watching it the first time. He's like, "Oh, he transformed himself into a snake because he knew I love snakes." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that was a fake. I was expecting it to be like, because I hate snakes." So I picked it up to admire the snake, and then he turned back into himself and stabbed me. I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, dark."
Yeah,
that's Chris Hemsworth, of course, has brothers, so yeah, he understands these things.
It was probably something quite similar actually happened. Yeah,
he's just recalling some real childhood pain. Yeah,
he's in Australia. Everything out in Australia wants to kill you. So yeah.
Well, isn't that the truth? I've still got a scar on my hand where I tried to take a chip off my brother's plate once. He put a fork through it. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, all I remember is him screaming he doesn't share food. It hurt, but anyway. So Yeah, are there? I mean, I know we sort of jumped around a lot, but are there any scenes, Stefan? I'll start with you. Any scenes, any character bits you want to talk about from the film that we've maybe missed?
Oh wow. Don't think so.
No, I mean, I think we covered it. Kayleigh, what about yourself?
Well, there was a couple of sort of little things that you pick up on. What have I got? Let me think.
No,
The
bring it.
pride pin, the pride pin that America wears. Love that.
Yeah, okay.
And the her outfit as well was obviously a reference to her abilities, which I thought was really clever.
Yeah.
The star on the back of the jacket. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I wanted to just to mention, because this film terrified me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
When Wanda is in the mirror dimension.
Yeah, no,
and she
I know what you're gonna no, I know what you're gonna do. No, stop. No.
Terrifying.
No,
terrifying.
Stupid. That was I saw that and I genuinely just like put my head in my hands and just looked down. I'm such a
the coming out of the mirror bit, all like the weird,
jaggedy, it's stuff like that makes me not like Sam Raimi. The first time Wanda's what?
So it's the first time Wanda's ever not looked hot.
Okay.
When she was doing that, I was like, nope.
I totally misheard you, and I'm glad I clarified. But
just one other detail. Again, I don't know if you picked up on when she gets to the mountain and she sees her image carved into the stone. Did you see that there were 2 children?
Yeah.
There as well.
That was
and that, knowing how emotional I am about the kids, the dream scene, devastated, crying, that got me.
I thought to myself when I saw that, it kind of feels like that mountain was set up to push her over the edge. When she
literally,
literally, it kind of felt like when she got there, it was designed to be like, now you're here, we're really gonna make sure you don't back out. It's like, oh, look what you could have won. Look at this lovely kids here. It was.
That is something I'd like to talk about actually, just quickly.
No, bring it.
Is the children, Billy and Tommy.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
In the comics, they have the abilities and they actually become part of the new Avengers or the Young Avengers.
Young Avengers, yeah.
And that was something that after WandaVision, I was kind of like, this could be really cool, because from what I remember, you've got like Ant-Man's daughter. Yeah. She joins. You get Wanda's children, and you get these different characters join the young. Like a lot of these characters now that we have actually seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but obviously they're not in our universe. They're in one of the multiverses.
They are currently.
And I'm interested to see now what kind of happens with these 2 kids.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see anything more of them again, or is it kind of like they were just there for Wanda's story arc? That's it. They're done now.
No, I think we will see more of them. I think the main reason why I think that is because when you look at the way the films are setting this up, it's going to be, in Loki, the one who remains, the kind of like he claimed that he was the good variant, and what he was doing was actually for the greater good. In terms of their multiversal wars, he talked about that. And he talked about, look, there are other variants of me who are not nice, and some of them just wanted to conquer, which was obviously, the Kang.
Okay, the Conqueror.
The big Kang reference. So if we work on the theory that the next Thanos level threat is going to be Kang, and Kang currently in the Quantum Mania, perhaps kicking back, not really fully aware that he can go on a spree again. The events of Quantum Mania, alert him to that, and he's like, brilliant, I can go conquering the multiverse. It's infinitely possible that perhaps we are going to see like a merger of characters from different universes all joining 616 as a kind of like a last stand. And in doing that, you can kind of have this multiverse. So we go blast it open now. We can introduce the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Blade. We can introduce every character we want, and we can backsell it by saying, well, yeah, but they're from this universe, that universe. But then rather
Yeah.
than leaving it open forever, where basically it means anything and everything can happen, you can then almost close it down. You can Kang the Conqueror is getting more powerful because he's going from universe to universe, destroying, leaving it scorched earth. And almost that way you can create this, 616, or maybe like a cluster that are able to continue existing, but they're the ones who resist. Just a wild
Yeah, it
theory.
makes sense, because one of the big things I always have said is, like, how do you introduce a group as big and powerful as the X-Men now?
Yeah.
And if they were on 616, you'd be sitting there going, but you guys let Thanos happen. Where were you when that was happening? Where were you when that was happening?
Did you think that they dealt with that well in Eternals with the throwaway line, or did you think it was cheesy?
I found the whole Eternals movie.
Oh, all right, hang on.
Yeah,
All right, I won't ask
Let's
you.
not-
Kayleigh, what did you
Ask
think?
Kayleigh.
Well, I enjoyed the film.
Good, I'm glad.
It was enough. I think the throwaway comment was enough. It would have opened too many holes, I think, and it's done. We need to kind of move on.
I think it was it was simple enough. I think that film does bring up so many questions, which me and Stephan have touched on before, like
global warming.
Yeah, basically a
let's
celestial. Basically, a celestial should have drowned most of the planet by bursting through like that with tsunamis. So, what's gone on there? But anyway, forgetting that for a moment and parking that back where it was. Kayleigh, you mentioned to me with Wanda, the vast majority of fans, one of the big storylines for her they want to see on the screen is her utter the words "No more mutants."
Yeah.
What if you took the House of M storyline and reversed it? So what if mutants becoming a thing was actually her bringing that? Do you see what I mean? Like, you could actually reverse it. Her being the cause of mutations in 616 rather than her being the one that takes them out. I realise I've put you on the spot. Sorry.
You put me on the spot a little bit there. I need a day to think about that.
Okay. Stephan, whilst Kayleigh's contemplating how she's going to hurt me for doing that, what do you think? Do you think that would satisfy that with fans, or do you think fans would just hate that? They'd be like, "Oh no, that's not what happened."
Well, I remember we spoke about it, didn't we, with the end of WandaVision, I think it was, when she kind of split everything open and it all happened. We were like, maybe that was actually like the reaction.
Could activate the X gene in people,
Yeah, and now we've suddenly got, and it turns from Wanda going, must kill mutants, to Wanda actually created mutants.
Yeah.
Which would have been an interesting storyline. And I don't know, I personally prefer the idea of our universe has the Avengers.
Yeah. And
that universe has the X-Men.
So you wouldn't necessarily want to see the X-Men in 616?
In like cameo team ups, maybe, if there is a
crossover.
Someone like Kang the Conqueror, for example, who is an intergalactic threat.
Yeah.
And something has to be done all together, then the idea of the universe is all combining to beat him. Yeah. I love the idea of that, but actually to have them over here, I think would be too much.
Okay.
Like, it works in the comics because of how comics work, but I think where they're trying to make a real grounded version in the movies, I think we'd then have too much.
Okay. One of the things, of course, they could do with the multiverse, and I'd love to know what you guys think about this, is do you think that perhaps you could now create a kind of split with the MCU where different people could follow different tracks because it follows what they want? What I mean by that is there going to be characters that not everyone likes, not everyone. Like I mentioned about the American Chavez, I looked at that and thought, that's not going to be one for me necessarily. But I loved her, so I'm glad I gave that a try. And I know Miss Marvel's coming out soon on Disney+, and I kind of look at that and think, I don't think that one's going to be aimed at me. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to giving that a try. But with the multiverse and the way things are, you could quite literally now create branches. So rather than it just being the one solid MCU line and everything following that line, you can create like the X-Men could just go off on one thing. Me being a big fan of that genre and everything to do with that, I mean, I'm definitely going to be following that one. Then you can have other, because like the Young Avengers, like people talk about that, like that really doesn't appeal to me. Like I look at that and I think, oh, a group of kids running around. I watch a lot.
However,
Sorry, just to finish the thought, there's a lot of shows I watch that are very much geared to teenagers, and that's fine. I get that. But I can't sit through shows with all that teenage angst, man. It does my head in. Like, oh, there's a global threat. What should we do? I don't know. Billy's not text me back. It's like, what? I can't. No. Sorry, man. You were going to say, I interrupted you.
All I was going to say is, at the same time, though, if you were to look at the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy,
yeah,
that is based around a 15, 16-year-old. It deals with him getting a date for the prom and him going through the relationship thing with MJ and all that.
Yeah,
and
true.
Those films are brilliant. And I wonder, like, if they can make the Young Avengers, but kind of
in that way,
base it like that way,
yeah,
they could be brilliant.
My main thing is that the story is the most important thing. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
And then perhaps it's right. Perhaps this is in the way to do it. Me and you talk about a lot of different TV shows and stuff that we watch, and on a fairly regular basis, you see that they've introduced characters or they've done spin-offs which are basically aimed to try and grab a younger audience. And you watch them because they're all interlinked, and you need to watch it to understand the links. And you're like, yeah, this is not aimed at me at all. It's like this show is clearly like the writing. The fact that they describe everything as, yo, this is sick, dude. I'm like, what? No, this isn't me. Kayleigh, what do you think? Kayleigh, am I just being a really old man now? Step in.
Oh, I was just going to say, you sound like a grumpy old git.
There you go.
You know, I know you're getting to a certain age, but come on, lighten up, man.
Wow, that hurt.
That is payback for an earlier comment that we won't talk about.
Oh no, we're going to talk about it now. Yeah, fine.
I think it could, you know, like we look at other films, like traditionally what we call kids films, right? Like the Minions or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, it's aimed at kids, and most of the subtle older references just go straight over their heads. And I think if they can find that balance,
that's the key, is the balance.
Great.
I agree. Yeah,
they're very, very, very good at doing that. You know, you look at like Spider-Man. You know, it's a kid, but ultimately it's sort of adult themed.
There's certainly nothing that I would, you know, there's certainly nothing I see on the slate and think I'm not going to try. You know, there's certainly nothing to go, no, that's not, you know, I'm not even going to put it on. There's some stuff I look at and go, I don't know. But I felt that way about Guardians of the Galaxy. When I first saw the premise of that, I was like, oh, I don't think that's going to work. But it did, thankfully.
But again, you know, you build up that emotional attachment over time, don't you? You see them grow, and you root for these characters, and you want them to become, you know, something amazing, and then they do, and you kind of, it makes you happy.
Well, I can say definitely there's two members of a young team, Yelena for the new Black Widow, and of course Kate Bishop for the new Hawkeye. I watch them two. They're hilarious. Those characters, their interactions in Hawkeye, that episode where they're basically fighting each other. I mean, that cracked me up. Yeah, like, oh, that kick was really. I mean, for two actors of any type to get that kind of chemistry straight away, you as like a director, producer, whoever, Kevin Feige must have sat back, watched those scenes, and gone, "Oh, thank you, I can print money from these two." You know, this is, you know, because if he just said, right, okay, we're doing a new Black Widow 2, it's going to star Yelena and it's going to be a team up like buddy cop movie with Kate Bishop, take my money, I'm there. You know, there's no problem whatsoever. I don't need to tie it into the MCU. It's like, yep, I'm done, I'm there. It'd be hilarious. It'd be great. So yeah, I think like characters like that. But again, if I looked at that on paper before them just being in front of me, I might think, replacing Hawkeye, I don't know, is that going to work? Is it going to be weird? You know, is this still going to translate? But no, it does. They've done it really well. So yes, I have total confidence that they will achieve all their goals. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm trying to work out, I think I looked on the slate, the next big blockbuster release is Thor. and that is Thor 4. Thor 4. I've looked over the basic outline of that, and again, Stephan, I'm with you. I don't think we're going to get any blatant, obvious multiverse reference in this, but I do think the after credits will tie something in. Perhaps we'll get a Doctor Strange walking up with his third eye to see Thor to say, "Hey, quick, we need you."
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
We've still got the random Harry Styles.
I don't want to talk about that.
Eternals and stuff. Like, I don't want them just to be throwing in end credit scenes for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Like, we've had the Harry Styles one. We've now had the clear one at the end of Doctor Strange.
Love that.
I want the end credit scenes to mean something and not just to be, hey, here's a character you might see again at some point in the next 7 years.
But I think they've done that all along, though. There's typically been one scene to be a bit funny and relate to the movie, but then the other one links it to something else, like, one meaningful. Except for Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, who on the second one, I think they had like 8. It was ridiculous. There were loads. It was funny, but yeah, none of them really linked to anything. It was just funny. But yeah, I mean, that's it. That's our show. We've talked about it in great detail. We've jumped around various scenes and various characters. Hope everybody listening's had a good time. Kayleigh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me back.
Your expertise and your opinion have been greatly appreciated. I've loved it. Stephan, thanks for showing up as well. It's very nice.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, very nice to speak to you again, my friend. But yeah, for everybody listening, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. Marvel Mondays will continue when there's more Marvel content. I believe the next show to hit Disney Plus is Ms. Marvel. We'll be doing episodic breakdowns for that one, and they'll be coming out every Monday. The next movie will be Thor 4, as I said, so we'll definitely do a show on that, and probably maybe even a preview for it as well. Until then, everybody, you all take care.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.